Praise the Lord. This is Rev Sherii Parrett coming to you from Kansas City, Missouri. And I want to share a little bit of my testimony. And I've been asked to actually share it in regard to one thing in specific. And that is how that I became an overcomer for smoking cigarettes I was 18 years old when I quit smoking. So you might think, well, you were just 18, so that's not very big of a deal. But the truth is, I started smoking cigarettes when I was 8 years old. And I literally can remember in the third grade, I used to steal cigarettes from my parents' packages of cigarettes. They weren't in church, and I wasn't in church at the time. Our testimonies have changed a lot in that regard. But at that point in my life, my parents were smokers. And it is proven that the children of smokers will have a greater percentage and a greater chance of smoking. So this video has really been put together for those who are trying to quit smoking. So number one, I want you to know this is not coming from a place of judgment in any way, shape, or form. This is coming from a place of support and encouragement that you can quit a habit of smoking even after having smoked for many years. But I just had to clarify that because my journey of smoking cigarettes and becoming addicted actually began when I was 8, and I had older cousins and siblings, and we would go up to the Safeway and just steal cartons and cartons and cartons of cigarettes, and we would keep them all in this little cave kind of area that we had in our back neighborhood, our backyard, and we would store them there in this drain, which I don't know how they didn't ever get wet, but we would keep them in there, and then we would smoke cigarettes in this drain. It was a big gutter drain of the neighborhood. It was huge. You could walk in it and everything. But and we stored them in other little places. And as an 8-year-old, I remember clearly and distinctly that I liked smoking the cool cigarettes because it was KOOL, and I liked the flavor, the minty flavor. And then I liked I believe it was called Summer's Eve cigarettes, and it had the picture of the lady with the flowers in the garden and all of that. So as a young child, I was just like, thought those were the coolest things. And those were the cigarettes that I smoked when we would have these little escapades. And I would help steal these cigarettes just right along with my older cousins and siblings. In fact, my mother did catch us stealing and caught us with some of our loot. She made us return them to the grocery store and apologize. And I will never forget it. And I was just a little bitty girl. Like I said, 8, 9, 10 years old, around in that age. And so that began my foray into the adventures of smoking cigarettes. But by the time I was 11 years old, I was smoking one solid pack a day. And this was back when cigarettes were 55 cents, I think, at the time. And all we had to do was go steal a couple quarters. I know I was a little bitty thief, wasn't I? Oh, God, forgive me. But, I wasn't in church. And my mom had this little coin purse, and I could take a quarter here and a quarter there and a nickel there, or dimes or something like that. Or often we would even go and take bottles back, and we would turn in the bottles for dimes. And if you found 5 bottles in a ditch, while you're walking, then you could go get your cigarette money. Well, I smoked as an addicted smoker from the age of 11 until I was 18, and I fully smoked a pack of cigarettes per day. I also would use my lunch money when I got a little bit older in school, and then of course as I got jobs I could buy my own cigarettes because I started working when I was 12. And I just worked at like restaurants, and I was a waitress at Country Kitchen in Independence, and I was a waitress there for years, and I could use my tip money, for cigarettes. And there wasn't really a age limit on it at this time in my life. And I think thank God that they do put age limits, and it's a little bit tougher to get cigarettes for young kids than it was in the 70s and the early 80s. So, now going back to how did I quit smoking? Well, it was hard because I had a habit, like I said, a pack a day. That's 20 cigarettes per day. And if you put that into hours, 24 hours in a day, and you sleep at least, say, 6, that's 18 hours and 20 cigarettes a day. So I was smoking at least 1 cigarette per hour. And there were times that I smoked a cigarette. I had to have a cigarette, and that would be like after eating, when I first woke up in the morning, when I got in a car to start the car. I had to light a cigarette. Just the car would not even start if I didn't have a cigarette, and in my mind. But so these were things that were habits and trained habits that were difficult whenever I did decide to quit, and it made it a little bit harder because I was used to doing that thing. So I want to talk to you about some preemptive measures that you can take in your journey to quit smoking. And you're going to quit, and you can quit. If you're watching this, the title says, I want to quit smoking. And so that's you, and that covers you. I'm telling you my story, but my story is similar to millions of other stories. People find quitting smoking to be a challenge. It's a challenge, and nobody's going to deny that it's a challenge, but it's doable. Okay, everybody repeat that. It's doable. You can do it. So don't go into it thinking, I can't do it. I've tried. So what? We can keep trying and keep trying until we succeed, and you will succeed. Now, I looked up some tips from the Mayo Clinic. And the Mayo Clinic is a really good resource for all things regarding health. They are extensively, up to date and accurate in their research. And so you can trust the Mayo Clinic if you cannot trust me. But I want to discuss some of these things that they say after I discuss them. But let's go point by point. Number 1, they said, think positive. You might have tried to quit smoking before and you just didn't manage it. Just like I said, don't give in to defeat. Just try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And then think about what it was of why you failed. Well, I got stressed, and so I had a cigarette. Well, have a backup plan. That's what they say. Make a plan to quit smoking. Make a promise, set a date, stick to it. And sticking to the not a drag rule can really help whenever you find yourself in difficulty. Say to yourself, I won't even have a single drag. And you stick with that until the cravings pass. And, think about times, that you have to have a cigarette. Like I said, like when you get in a car, and have a plan and say, I'm not going to have my cigarette. I'm going to turn on the radio instead, and I'm going to give you some other tips in just a moment. But I'm keeping with these Mayo suggestions, but stick with me because I want to point something out about these Mayo suggestions. And it says, consider your diet. Is your after dinner cigarette your favorite? A U.S. study revealed that some foods, including meat, make cigarettes more satisfying, and others, including cheese, fruit, and vegetables, make cigarettes taste terrible. So swap that steak or burger for a veggie pizza instead. And change your routine after meal times. Getting up, do the dishes, settle down in a room where you don't smoke, and that might help you to have that craving suppressed for right after you eat. Change your drink. This same U.S. study, as above, looked at drinks. Fizzy drinks, alcohol, cola, tea, coffee, all make cigarettes taste better to a smoker. So when you're out, drink water, drink juice, and just simply changing that drink tomato juice, and it affects that need to reach for a cigarette. So, identify when you crave cigarettes. A craving can last 5 minutes. Before you give up, make a list of 5-minute strategies. For example, leave the party for 5 minutes, go for a walk, go dance or exercise for 5 minutes. Okay, go make a phone call for 5 minutes. Do anything. Go take a shower. Anything that you can't smoke or wouldn't smoke while you were doing, go do that thing. And think about this while you're doing that. Think about the fact that smoking, and especially if you put it with drinking, raises your risk of mouth cancer by 38 times. So get some stop smoking support. I will definitely support and pray for you. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Don't leave, because I want to make a point about these suggestions that are very good suggestions for quitting smoking. And then, as I said, then another thing said was get moving, because exercise, even a 5-minute walk or stretch, cuts cravings and might help your brain produce anti-craving chemicals. If I'm talking too fast and you're not getting these points, look them up. Google anything about help quitting smoking and how to stop cravings, Mayo Clinic, those type of things, and you'll be able to read these for yourself. Keep your hands and mouth busy. Nicotine replacement therapy, that can double your chances of success. Sometimes with a doctor, you can get like lozenges and things like that to sort of, because nicotine is an addiction, and maybe just replacing it and then tapering off with not the cigarettes, because it's really that smoke and tar that gets in your lungs, but like a lozenge or something, and then taper off of the lozenges, because those aren't great for you either. But it could be a nicotine replacement therapy that could help you. Then this one they put last, but I say last but not least on their list. This is their list, mind you. And I'm giving it to you because it is good resources for you and good suggestions. A good resource with good suggestions, Mayo Clinic. Okay. And it says, make a list of reasons to quit. Number one, while you're making that list, you could say, where the Bible itself does speak about, not defiling our temple. And I can't think of anything that defiles our temple as much as cigarettes, when it turns a lung black. And this isn't me saying this, and this isn't my just my idea or thought or opinion. Look up black lungs. Look up the lungs of smokers. Look up the lungs of smokers who smoke for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, people who died, autopsies of lungs of those who smoke. They're black. And if our body is our temple, then turning our lungs black is certainly defiling them. And the Bible also talks about people, the men that put the weed in their mouth. And it didn't talk about it in a good way. So, not trying to judge, again, remind you, I am not judging you. I'm telling you as coming from someone who had the habit and who had difficulty of quitting the first time that I tried to quit. And I'm going to get to that point in my testimony. I just wanted to give you some good suggestions out of the Mayo Clinic. Now, I believe that I'm going to make a part 2, because really I wanted to show you what the world is offering you. All right. And then in this second part, I am going to talk to you about the part of my testimony where the Lord intervened. The world has maybe some suggestions and maybe some ways, but Jesus causes us to be victorious. And if you are praying and you are seeking him, you can do this. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. So I'm going to pause this video, but I'm going to have a second part to the video, which could be used in place of the first part as well. If someone sees the first part that I'm saving till the end, then it'll be okay, because I believe that the latter is greater than the former. The first shall be last, the last shall be first. And I want to talk to you about some more strategies for quitting smoking. Join me in part 2, and thank you. I'm praying for you. Feel free to message me. Let me pray for you and with you. God is going to help you, and you are going to succeed at quitting. God bless you.